So hi guys, I'm gonna do this video as a second part of the video that I posted before. I think this year, about working here in Singapore as a physiotherapy assistant. So many people are asking for a part 2, or they have their follow-up questions as to living and working here in Singapore. So this is probably gonna be my last video for the year, so let's get on it. Anyways, enjoy your holidays. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. So I'm actually down my HDB block doing this vlog right now, and I think the lighting is so good, and it's rainy lately here in Singapore. It's so dim and dark. Anyway, so yes, this is the second part for the video that I made, and some people who really wants to work here in Singapore as a physiotherapist or physiotherapy assistant are asking me which agency I have applied or I have tried to be able to land a job here in Singapore, and it's Subnet RTA. But as of now, or I think for the previous years, they haven't been hiring physiotherapy assistants. I don't know why, but hiring physiotherapy assistants overseas has been a bit difficult, especially during and after COVID. After COVID, I haven't seen an increase in the trend. Most of them are hiring or prioritizing locals and PRs on this job. What I see mostly is that they are hiring nurses and healthcare assistants from overseas, but I rarely see, or I seldomly see or hear about physiotherapy assistants overseas. So I don't know why, but maybe they're focusing more on local or PR applicants. But you can still try, because there's no harm in trying. And if you want to try, you might want to find an agency, and if there is no agency at all, or any agency that would help you to apply as a physiotherapy assistant in Singapore, you can try direct hiring, and you can find jobs at jobstreet.com. You can use that and send your resume through that platform. People are asking about my contract. So the contract is 2 years. Most companies, they have 2 years contract, and the first contract for us, we can't break it. So we need to finish the whole span of 2 years, or else we need to pay the breach of contract, let's say, because we didn't finish our service for 2 years, our contract. And yes, we need to pay the remainder of the contract if you quit your job earlier than 2 years. But for the renewal, after our first renewal, we don't have to finish the whole 2 years, but the contract itself will say it's 2 years, and every 2 years we need to renew. But for us, even if the contract says it's 2 years, we don't need to finish after the first renewal, because we would only be required to give a notice period of 2 months. But other companies, even if it's not your first contract with them, you renewed your contract for the second time, they still require you to finish the whole 2 years. And if you don't finish the whole 2 years, they would ask you to pay for the breach of contract. That actually differs from each company, so you need to make it clear so that there won't be any confusion if ever you want to switch jobs or you want to quit your job as a physiotherapy assistant. Yes, you need to read your contract properly so that you'll be aware of the things that you are entering to, and you can always ask your HR. The HR and the people here in Singapore are usually, they accommodate you if you have any concerns about the contract. So don't be shy, and it. So yes, you just ask them anything if you have any questions about the contract, and you can talk it out with your HR. Living here in Singapore, people are asking how do you find place to rent. For me, I think you can visit different what do you call that, websites that like 99 renting websites. They have this websites which I can link down on the description box, like the 99.co, or I don't know the other websites that you can refer to. And this website usually have there is a term there, I'm not sure, wait, let me put it here. There is a term there, and you need to pay them for like doing the paper things in renting the room. But if you are a Filipino, there's actually a group, Facebook group, that is, oh, I remember it now, it's agency, because they will process the whole, like the contract signing with the owner, and then the different things that you need to settle with when renting a unit here in Singapore, or a room. So there's an agent's fee. But for Filipinos, you can visit different Facebook groups because they usually don't have an agent's fee, and then it would be more comfortable for you to live with Filipinos, same Filipinos, or your friends actually. So yes, you can visit them. I can link down some of the Facebook groups that I know, but you can always use search terms like Filipinos for, room for rent in Singapore for Filipinos, and all the Facebook groups that have these kinds of posts will appear, because people will usually post their ads, or they're looking for a roommate or a flatmate in this Facebook group. So you can always check it out, and for me personally, it's easier because you just need to talk to the person who originally rent the flat, or we call the main tenant, and you will settle things between the two of you, and it's easier, it's cheaper, and you're more comfortable living with Filipinos. Yes. And talking about roommate and a flatmate, renting here is very expensive, and if you're tight on the budget, or your salary wouldn't suffice you to be able to rent a single room, it's common to share a single room with another roommate. So the price of the rent would be divided between the two of you, and it's way cheaper and more practical actually. So me, I have my roommate, and I share my room and the rent with her. So yes, it's cheaper that way. And it depends, if you can afford a single room, you can always rent a single room, but if not, better have a roommate. It's more practical. And yes, what else do I have to say? Let me think. Oh yeah, with regards to finding a flat or a place, everything here in Singapore is actually very convenient. Taking bus, MRT, commuting to work, it's very convenient. But I usually prefer walking to work, and I don't live in the CBD or the central business district, or let's say the central area of Singapore. So the rent is quite affordable compared to the central. So it depends on the place that you chose to live or to rent. Central area is more expensive compared to the, let's say, the outskirts of the central area. So my work is not in the central area, and luckily I found me and my friends found a room or flat to rent right in front of my working area. So I just walk to work, which is very, very practical for me because I don't need to like commute to work and then pay for my fare. Actually, if a month you would spend around 70 to 80 if you maybe around 100, less than 100 if you commute to work. And that's a big thing for me since walking to work I don't spend any fare and I get to sleep more. So it really depends if you have an accessible place, but if the flat that you're renting is in the central area, it's gonna be more expensive. If you're opting for condo, it's gonna be more expensive as well. And if the unit or the HDB block that you're renting is near an MRT and maybe many bus stops, it's gonna be more expensive as well. But for me, I think my place is quite convenient also. And generally in Singapore, it's very convenient because around your block there can be a walking distance shops that you can buy, mama shops, which they call mama shop, they call the small shops mama shops, and they would sell daily necessities. And if you want to go to malls, there, if you're lucky enough, there would be some malls that are just 10 minutes walk from your house, and that's good enough. And if you don't want to, or if you want to go further, you can just take a bus, which bus stop would be just below your block. So yeah, it's very convenient. I really like living here in Singapore because of the convenience, especially that I'm not good at directions. It's life here is easier for those who suck at directions. I actually like living here in Singapore. Here is very diverse. That's why I also like roaming around and exploring here because the food is very diverse. And I'm gonna bring you today to the first area or to the first HDB block that we rented when I first came here in Singapore. And my first love is just down my block, down the block that I rented first. So I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna show you my first love. Yeah, first love for food though. It's not my first love or anything, but the food that I really love, that first time I tried it, I felt like it's so nice. And I have liked it ever since until now. It's still one of my favorite foods here in Singapore. So yes, let's go now. Let's go to Bishan. It's actually Bishan, so let's travel to Bishan, and yes, I'm gonna show you food. And this food is actually in a hawker center. So if you are on a budget also and you don't want to cook at all, do you hear that? It's Singapore bird. And yes, if you don't want to cook, there are so many hawker centers. They're located near or just below your block where you can eat affordable food. If you don't want to eat in a restaurant, hawker center is a way to go because it's cheaper. This is my block, and that is the bus stop right there. How accessible, right? I really like this spot because it's very accessible to many bus stops, and that we are just near to many MRTs. It's just a few stops away to several lines. I do love taking the double-decker bus because you can see a wide view of the street while on the bus, and it's just so nice. This is what you typically eat, right? Kaifan?
Normally lah.
Normally.
Try the chicken lah.
Try. And
Pork chop.
pork chop, okay.
You want the lady's finger?
Ah yeah, I want the lady's finger also.
Okay. Give me some of this.
Can just get.
Okay, ready. That's all.
Let's eat. But this one is not. This is also like the whole hawker type, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the salted egg is close. I can't find it anymore. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, this one is my block. It's not 149. It's 148. The first one that we rented. It's just this thing.
Chicken. Oh, you see?
Yeah, it's very gravy like
Very,
texture.
very gooey, gooey.
This is one of the famous ones. Mmm.
Talking about it.
Tama.
Like that, $11.
Oh no. This is, but hawker is cheaper because this one is already like a restaurant one. Yeah, because it's a famous one and then it's a franchise. But if hawker, it's gonna be cheaper. Kind of nice.
Hey, they got fried beancurd skin eh.
I got two.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Oh, I thought this one is different. Four?
Yeah, let's go. Okay. So can okay. Okay, go. Okay.
Let's eat.